As somebody with a background in television, why would I spend any amount of money on audio playback devices? Well, I happen to like listening to music sometimes. And sometimes I like to focus on the audio in the video. Because, in AV, the A stands for audio. Yeah, I don't really have any excuses. I just happen to have a little bit of spare cash, and so I spent it on some embarrassingly expensive headphones. Let's take a look at them now, shall we? Here we have Logitech G935 gaming headphones. Well, not headphones, but a headset. Yeah, it's a set that goes on your head. You notice that the drivers are fucking huge on these things. Well, it's actually not all speaker driver. There's on one of these, you got a space to hold your little USB adapter. And on the other one, you got your 1.1 amp hour battery that lasts several hours. Which leads us to the conclusion that these things run at nowhere close to an amp. It's a 4.2 volt battery. I'm not entirely sure what the wattage calculations are. I'm not even entirely sure what the power output of these things is, and I don't really care. You see, out of the box, these things sound kind of cruddy, but if you piss around with the software that's built for these things, you can get some pretty decent sounding audio out of them. Like, I wouldn't use them as monitors, but I would more than happily listen to music out of these things. They sound fine. They sound pretty good. And you would hope so for the $130 that you spend on these things brand new. Now you notice that I said that these are a headset and not headphones. I wasn't joking. They got a microphone. Yeah, you can use this thing so that way you can chat with your buddies when you're in like a raid or something like that. Well, you could.
This is a recording quality test using the microphone on the Logitech G935 gaming headset. The audio quality is sufficient for things like Discord, if you're in a party chat or something like that. However, if audio quality is mission critical, you'd probably want to use most anything else.
I shouldn't be super disappointed because it's a microphone over a wireless connection. Of course it's going to sound like shit because you have to prioritize the playback. You're trying to get low latency, so you don't have a lot of bandwidth to play with, at least as far as transmission is concerned, because, well, you're spending most of it trying to get the playback audio to these things as fast as possible, in as high a quality as possible. So I guess that's understandable. Except for the fact that these things have a wired connection that you hook up a TR2S connector to, little 1/8 inch thing. And the microphone sounds just as shitty through that as it does over the wireless thing. So what does that lead us to believe? It leads us to believe that Logitech put something that they found at the bottom of a septic tank into here instead of, a microphone. Like, you could build a microphone out of a paper plate, some magnet wire, and a stack of not even neodymium, just ceramic magnets. And it would sound better than the microphone that this thing has. Not much better, mind you, but yeah. Well, that's $130 that I'm never going to see again. So, what happens if we spend a little bit more money? Do we get something better? Well, that's what I was hoping to find out with these Sony WH-1000XM4 headphones. Well, headset, again. You see, these things are, proper Bluetooth. You hook them up to your computer or your phone or whatever. They support Bluetooth 5 point shit. And over Bluetooth or over a wired connection, they sound really fucking good. Granted, that might also just be me speaking from experience having absolute dog shit headphones. Like, I've used studio monitors before, but the headphones that I personally own are pretty fucking terrible. But these, you know, they sound really good. It's annoying that they have this little touchpad right here, but you can disable that. And when you disable it, you could pretty happily put these on, fall asleep, you wake up, you feel refreshed, and your brain's like, yeah, I got to listen to some tunes while this asshole was asleep. And the battery life on these things is actually really good. Like on the Logitech ones, it's double digits, so that's all right. These last at least twice as long as the Logitechs. Probably because they're not really doing all that much extra, except, well, they've got active noise canceling. And they still manage to last over 30 hours. That's... And the fucking cups are smaller too. Like, those things I could use as a pillow. These things I could use with a pillow. Now, they are a headset too. But, well, what do they sound like?
This is a test of the microphone quality on the Sony WH-1000XM4 Bluetooth headphones. It's surprisingly good, especially considering that these are Bluetooth. They beat out the quality on a lot of wireless gaming headsets that have their own proprietary adapters and sample at a much higher frequency. However, the noise reduction is always on, and it's not very precise. Like, you could expect these to sound okay on a Discord call or something like that, but if you're doing something where audio is mission critical, you're gonna want to find a different solution.
So playback quality is really good over both Bluetooth and wired. There's no way to get access to the microphones over a wired connection. The 1/8" connector on these ones is only TRS. And the thing is, if you listen to it, the microphones have the potential to be decent, but Sony insists on using noise canceling in the headphones instead of letting you do that on whatever device you have them connected to. It's like, the active noise canceling is nice for listening to music, but they didn't need to transfer it over to the fucking microphones, you know, for recording. They could have left that off when you're actually using the microphones for, like, calls or recordings or anything like that, and then just let the device that you have these things hooked up to handle it with whatever built-in codec it has. Instead, they have that as a feature of the microphones here. As in, it's not a flaw, it's a feature. Well, that's $350 that I'm never going to get back. So, how much do you have to spend on a headset that has decent sounding audio coming out of it, while also allowing you to put decent sounding audio back into it? You know? That's the whole point of a headset, is that you can use it for listening, but you can also use it for speaking. You know? You can use it as a communications device. Not either of these two, though, because, you know, they sound usable, but if the audio quality of your communications is mission critical, buddy, you're going to have to go ahead and use some other kind of solution. Now, what's my preferred solution? Well, having a decent headset. But aside from that, well, actually, no. I should mention that there are wired headsets that sound good, And I don't have access to the equipment right now, but I used to have this pair of SteelSeries wireless headphones that sounded like absolute trash when you were using them wireless, but when you hooked them up over the wire, damn did they sound good. And the microphone wasn't half bad either. I mean, it sucked over wireless, but it was actually usable over a wired connection. The wired ones are always so good, but the wireless ones, well, I mean, my Galaxy Buds, the microphones on those things sound fairly decent, but I don't feel like getting those things out and trying to hook them up to my computer and then map them into Audacity. So, yeah, there's that. The solution that I usually go for is just to use this fucking train wreck. Now, for narrating purposes, I would probably prefer to use the ball microphone, but the XY microphone works just fine for that purpose too. This is a recording directly from the Zoom H6 using the XY microphone capsule, and if you're anything like me, you're probably thinking to yourself, why in the fuck would I use headset microphones instead of this? That's a good question. I don't actually have a straight answer for that. Well, okay, I guess you would want to use a headset instead of this because, well, it's unwieldy. And you'd have to have a space that you can set it up in front of you that you're not going to move from. Granted, a lot of podcasters do that, but, you know, if I was recording a podcast, I don't know, I just want a wireless headset that doesn't fucking suck. Okay? I work a job that pays some decent money. I can afford something like that. Now, could somebody just please fucking make it? Fuck me.